All right. First of all, thank you so much, Dan G, for coming. I really appreciate your presence in my podcast. It's really amazing to host you, and I'm looking forward to learn a lot from our conversation. All right. So first of all, Dan G, how did you ended up being a classical Hatha Yoga teacher? Please let us know a little bit about yourself and why did you choose this particular path,
Well,
please.
first of all, thank you for having me here. I've been looking forward to our conversation for a while now, and I'm very grateful to have this opportunity. So my name is Dan. I'm an Isha classical Hatha Yoga teacher, um, and I did my training in southern India in Coimbatore. That's in Tamil Nadu at the Isha School of Hatha Yoga under the guidance of Sadhguru, who's a living guru, Isha, a yogic mystic. And we did a very intense training program, which lasted 21 weeks, almost 5.5 months. And so at the end of that, it's about 1,750 hours of training. So we eat, breathe, live yoga. And what that looks like is, can you imagine me, who was born in Canada? We walk barefoot, we eat with our hands. The food is sourced locally. It's pranic, no meat. It's open concept. Um, you wake up early in the morning, you do your Hatha Yoga, and we have class, we have brunch, meditation, back for more yoga, class, meditation, and we had to do laundry by hand. That was one of the, the most amazing things. It was a rock, water, and a bucket, and it was so it was very humbling and yeah,
Wow,
very intense experience. Um,
fantastic.
yeah,
So,
it's the real deal.
wow. So you did what you like you did washing with your hands like you said rock, bucket and water. That's it? Like
Yeah, so to explain what happened when we did our orientation the first day, they
uh-huh.
showed us the area where the men would stay, right? Because the men
Hmm.
and women were separate. And they go, oh, the laundry's in the back. I walked around the building twice. I go, "Oh, sorry, I couldn't find the laundry." And the guy just pointed at there was a rock and a tap and a bucket. And so and back then, like they do it the old way, where you have a little bit of soap and you put in the water and you twist and you whack it onto the rock to get all the
Yes.
soap and the water out, and then you hang dry it.
Yes.
And uh, and if you don't watch the weather, when it rains, it rains. Those monsoon rains, when they come, it's quite the experience. And it was beautiful, though. It was quite a, you could smell the fresh air in the laundry and the sunlight, and it was quite fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like how did you end up being in the like have you decided to be a yoga teacher and what has inspired you to be to
Oh,
learn
to
yoga?
learn. So, going back about 8 or 9 years ago, I just reached a point in my life where I just wasn't happy where I was. I was 247 pounds.
Wow.
I was a heavy meat eater, drinker, smoker, really into the party scene. That's the way I lived my life. And
Hmm.
I just reached a point where, there's more to life. I felt like I could do more, be more. I just that there's more to life than what I was doing. And I just made a decision. That's it. I got to make a change. So I went online searching for something. So initially, I became a raw vegan. I went from meat eating to instant raw vegan. So I started to eat living food
Hmm.
and I started to lose weight and feel alive. And I was just waking up in the morning for no reason, starting to feel like I wanted to do something. So I
Wow.
was online searching raw vegan recipes, especially smoothies.
Hmm.
And I accidentally clicked the video and hit the banner where they had the inner engineering with Sadhguru. And
Oh.
I started watching this guru talk to me about life and yoga. And I'm like, where's my smoothie recipe? But he started talking about things that were starting to cross my mind and I was thinking about. So one video, two video, three videos. Next thing you know, I'm late for work. But my mind, he's got me. The yoga's got me.
Hmm.
And so I did the inner engineering online and I went and got initiated and something magical happened. That depression, darkness inside of me just melted. But what was replaced was something so fragile and wonderful, the silence and stillness. And it felt so beautiful. And I started doing my practices and I realized I wasn't flexible. I couldn't sit in a cross-legged posture. So I go, I
Mm.
better take some yoga classes. And so I started to take a little bit of yoga and doing the Hatha Yoga. And I started to feel the transformation. People, places, and things started to respond differently. My life was starting to rearrange itself, and I didn't understand what was going on. But as I started to evolve in my practice, I decided to do an advanced program in Tennessee called Bhava Spandana.
Okay.
And for those who don't know what that means, it's Bhava means like sensations. Spanda means to resonance. So
Mm.
basically, Sadhguru spends 4 days with you and he pitches up your energy to a higher level where you
Mm-hmm.
experience yourself beyond your physical limitations. And it's a very high energy conscious state. And I had a vision of being a teacher. And from
Oh,
that
you.
moment on, I saw myself sitting on a teacher's dais with participants wearing all white, and I was guiding them in Hatha Yoga.
Wow.
And I said, okay, from that moment on, I worked 2.5 years saving money, working 2 jobs. And then I traveled to India to do the program, to be a teacher. It
Wow.
was that profound experience. Yeah.
There was a lot of effort from your end. So that's
Oh,
amazing.
yeah, no, it was, when you want something, that's the one thing that I wanted to share with you is that not only does Hatha Yoga or classical Hatha Yoga give you balance and clarity, but it gives you focus. And you break the limitations of why you can't, and you find ways to make things happen in your life if you really want it. Those that resistance is gone. And I broke a lot of limitations, believe me. you know.
Oh, t take me through some. Like, I'm really interested in learning. I mean, not that I want to venture into your personal space,
Oh no,
but
no, no.
but, but this is very interesting. When you said, it enhances, it breaks the limitations, it enhances one yourself, right? So,
Yeah.
and there is the concept of because I've done inner engineering myself, and
Mhm.
I've practiced Surya Kriya as well. So they have for sure. I've got a beautiful experience after that. But
Mm,
then everyone has their own experience, right? So,
that is true.
like, so take us through your experience. Like, what have you felt?
Well, the first thing in my life, I finally had balance. And when you have balance, you have clarity. I was able to see life as it is, not as I want it to be or some distorted perception. And I was able to be honest with myself and accept it is what it is. It can be no other way. And once I accepted that, I was able to move forward and go in the direction I wanted to go rather than run away from the truth and the reality of not being where I want to be. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And when you have balance, you have clarity. When you have clarity, you start to cultivate that focus. And then you start to get this energy. And I was able to process and do things much easier. I got more done in less time. And because I was joyful, nothing felt like a burden, because the joy was coming from in here. I wasn't doing things to be happy. I wasn't searching for it. I wasn't chasing results. I was strictly doing the techniques that I learned through the hatha and just making it part of my everyday life. And I just woke up being grateful, happy, and whatever I did was an expression of that. What I can do, I can do. What I can't do, I can't do. And I'm okay with that. And I never put limitations on what I could or could not do. I just go for it.
mm.
I don't put the brakes on. I took the brakes off, threw them out. And sometimes, you hit a dead end. Hey, it's okay. You tried. You wouldn't know unless you tried. But sometimes, even if you hit a dead end, you kind of step back and you look at it. And because you have clarity and balance and focus, you find another path. You know what I mean? Your
Mm,
world doesn't crumble. You just make a detour. You pivot. Doesn't matter what you do. If the sky's falling, it doesn't matter because you're joyful and you remember how it was before. And
mm.
things might not happen around me 100% the way I want, but how I am within me, that's me. That's on me. And that's been the greatest release, you know. And that's what I want to share with people, that you can take control of how you feel inside of yourself. It's quite a wonderful thing.
So, like, th- that's amazing. So, can I say it this way that once it kind of peels off the layers of the stuff which we accumulate. It could be because of the society or the way we have grown or anything. It has nothing to do with the culture, but it's the analogies which we create about our own surroundings. Do you think what you have learned has peeled off those and brought the real self, your own self out? Like, you understand what I mean? Like,
Mm.
the real seed within the fruit. That's what we are.
Yeah.
If I
Well,
can.
I mean, that's the great thing about yoga. I mean, it's allows you to reach your higher nature. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yes. Okay.
That which allows you to reach your higher nature. So yoga is not something you do, it's something you become. Because yoga,
Mm,
the real definition of yoga, if you're to look at it, means union, right? To be
yeah.
one with the source of everything, right? And the beautiful thing about this is that you could say it's not so much peeling away, it's about letting go of the identity or the connection with it. The memory
Okay.
is always there, but you create a little distance. You don't become so attached to it. You let go of its significance. And you go from being a memory-based perception existence to awareness. You're not looking at life through the lens of the past. You're just awareness looking forward. And because you're not letting the past kind of blur this moment, whatever is possible, you'll catch it and you can get into it and explore it. Otherwise, you're just looking for validation of what you think and believe to be true. You know what I mean? You're just
No,
comparing to
I
what you
would
think.
want you to I would want you to explain this to me, please.
Sure.
So memory and awareness, that's a beautiful things what you just said. I'm
Mhm.
kind of getting it, but it kind of flowing over my head. So
Yeah, I know
help
it's a
me out.
lot. Yeah, sure. No, no,
So help me
and
out
thank you. Yeah.
with some example, please.
So, you know, ever drive
Mm.
the same path all the time and
Yes.
it's familiar and you don't really pay attention. You just kind
Oh,
of go through it. And then you have this moment like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I actually drove like for 5 minutes. I don't remember driving, right?
oh, mm.
Or
Mm,
you
that
drive
happens.
every day and you're so distracted because you're familiar that you miss something new happened or something's missing, you know,
Correct.
because
Mm.
you're looking but you're not paying attention. And you can do the same things without awareness and get through it. But if you pay attention, you might catch something you didn't see before or something new. And that's how people exist. They do the same things over and over without awareness and they miss possibilities that could be there just for a brief moment that could change the course of your life or even the experience in your day, you know. um, we do everything every other animal does. The only thing different that humans, we can do it consciously with full awareness. And every moment is a fresh possibility. So you can do the same thing over and over with a fresh pair of eyes and have a completely different experience, you know?
Wow, yeah. It's just like the difference between enjoying the water and drinking the water.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
true. Yeah, you know? And if you pay attention, yeah, you drink water. Well, let's say there's something off with the water, but you didn't notice, you just chugged it, right? If you
Mm,
take the moment before you drink the water, and as you bring it and you do it slowly, you might be able to smell or sense the whoa, the water is something different. Or like you said, it's a little sweeter.
mm,
Or the texture, it's the cluster of molecules is less, so it's smoother. It just goes down, it absorbs, it behaves differently. But if you don't pay attention, you miss these things, right? It's like anything. If you don't pay attention at work, what happens?
mm,
You
mm.
know, you make mistakes, right?
Yeah,
How many
yeah.
people are impacted because you weren't paying attention? Or if you're in a relationship, if you don't pay attention, you get comfortable with your spouse or significant other or your kids, and you're there, but you're not paying attention, you could miss signs that something's not right or they need something. You know what I mean? Or something's changed, or they're
Mm,
evolving, their tastes are changed. You're expecting the same kind of behavior. Uh, let's say your wife or husband changed their hair
mm,
or did something and you didn't notice. You know what I mean? And they worked
mm,
so hard and they did it because they wanted, because they care about those, see those little things, you know what I mean? Or you're not
mm,
paying attention when you're driving, you miss where you're supposed to turn, you're late for a meeting and it was a very important meeting, you let down so many people that could change the course of your life and their life. Not paying attention can have such a big effect and impact in your life that you're not aware of. But by paying attention, you first of all avoid not missing those things, and you can catch other things that can really transform you, because possibilities are always there when you're paying attention.
Wow. So that's amazing. So when you so the yoga has enabled this kind of thought process within you, or is it the or is it the meditation part of it? Because hatha by essence is so I have this perception that hatha has to do more with the physical activity. So is it the I mean,
Mhm.
explain to me what is hatha and how
Okay.
did that
No.
in that brought this kind of thought process within you?
So to go first, to start with Hatha means sun, moon. What
Mm-hmm.
you're doing is you're aligning your system with the cycles of the sun and moon. So we all have patterns of behavior in our life, which last a few days, a few weeks, a few months, a couple of years. And these patterns repeat themselves. That's why we find ourselves stuck in our everyday living. When you're doing Hatha, when you're doing Hatha Yoga, you're aligning your energy in your system with the cycles of the sun and moon, which are longer. And it breaks you from that karmic pattern so that you can create a little distance and you can move forward. And by doing that, also, you create balance in your energy so that you're not disturbed. So when things don't go the way you want or someone says the wrong thing, it doesn't disturb you. You don't react. There's a silence and a stillness and a pause where you can look at the situation and respond the way you think is best for that situation for both parties. So instead of living a very, very active life, you respond, and you always do it in a loving, caring way, because you don't know what's going on with other people that trigger that behavior, right? And you don't judge them based on that moment. And with the yoga, especially with hatha yoga, you have compassion, right? And how you are will diffuse. And not only that, it will also trigger a different behavior. You know? It's a beautiful thing to be able to break patterns, engage with people who might be having a bad day and not reacting, and giving them a chance to calm down and be able to save that situation and get to the point where both people wanted to be. That works for both sides.
Yeah, very
And
nice.
that's
So
what yoga can do. It creates that balance so you don't react. Because when you're off balance, what do? You're jerky. You
yeah,
react. You
yeah,
know, it's Sadhguru uses a great example. For most, balance is important. When you're first learning to ride a bike, remember as a kid, this seemed like that's the greatest thing in the world. But once you have balance, you can let go, you can blow a kiss, you can wave, you can text, you can
yeah,
venture
yeah.
out into life. But if you don't have balance your whole life, you're just doing this. And you're missing during the journey in life by just, and for most people, that's what they do. They're just trying to maintain balance and sanity in their life. There's no sense of adventure or exploration. And their perception of life in the world is distorted because they don't have clarity, because everything is just like overwhelming. That's what
Beautiful.
yoga can do.
I've got a lot of questions, but before I get to the philosophical and spiritual angle, I want to get into little technical details of the yoga.
Mhm.
So, um, what is this? Why do you call yourself classical yogi? Because I've seen I mean basically you call this as classical yoga. What is
Mhm.
this? I mean, this is the first time I'm hearing the term classical yoga. Do you mind explaining it and
For
take us a
sure.
little bit through that?
Yeah. So when you say classical, basically, classical means something which is survive time. So something that worked thousands of years ago, stood the test of time, and as it was relevant back then, is still relevant today, if not more so. It can still be applied. So it's classical. It's a classic. Just like you have classic music, this song was written 50 years ago, but even the youth today can identify and connect with it. So and it still has that same response. And it's also done the way it was done thousands of years ago without any distortion, not even a minute distortion. Hatha Yoga back in the day, uh, it was an offering. It was transmitted from person to person. Okay, and it's done. It has to be received and perceived in a certain way. And classical Hatha Yoga teachers, Isha classical Hatha Yoga teachers, we put a lot of care in creating a certain atmosphere and creating a certain ambiance so it can be perceived and received in a way that gets imprinted into your system. And then it becomes transformative. So we don't really teach, we offer and we transmit. It's not something you learn with your mind. It's something you imbibe with your body, your energy. And it's very
Well,
important that when you imbibe it, it's done correctly and from someone who is balanced, focused, and committed, right? Because they're
mm,
transmitting that into you. You're picking up on that.
wow, there's a lot involved in that.
It's a lifelong commitment, and it's very careful, and there's a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of people, I know they have good intentions. They learn yoga online and they spend, whatever, 200 hours. But yoga is, like I said, not something you do. It's a way of living. You learn how to live like a yogi. You live with awareness. You pay attention. Yoga is not just asanas, postures. It's how you wake up in the morning, how you meet people, how you approach life situations, how you treat food, you know, how you unwind at the end of the day, focused on the breath all the time, posture, how you sit. It's an ongoing thing. Everything can be yoga.
Yoga is perceived to be an exercise which in looks like it's not that. It's more like the way of life, and the and it lets you evolve into your true self, and it has not and it would give you a, a completely different understanding of your own reality. If I can, that's the summary I can take from the question which I've asked. Do you have anything to add to it?
Well, essentially, the only function of yoga is to enhance your perception of life. Only what you perceive, you know. The rest is just imagination. Like I said, it's a lot of people claim to be spiritual because they believe certain concepts that they've read, watched, or heard, or they hang around people who think and feel the same way. But is it a living reality in your life? Did you have a subjective experience? Life is not something you think. Life is on. Are you connected to it? Are you paying attention? Are you engaged? Or are you withdrawn in your own psychological drama or your imagination? You know, yoga is not what you wear. Yoga is not what you say. It's how you are within yourself from moment to moment. And it's consistent. It's not something you do part-time. Okay. It's not about making an appearance carrying a yoga mat. Okay. Or knowing the key buzzwords of the day. Or I read this author and wow, very profound. It's not yoga. Um, it's much
Yeah,
more than that. It's deeper.
I don't think there is a, I mean, it's my position though. I don't think there is um a problem with that, but it's more like that's not what it is. You are
Yeah.
having a soda and aerate carbonated water as assuming it to be water. So it's more like
Yes.
that. So but it quenches your thirst, but it's not really quenching your thirst, I guess.
No. Yeah.
Wow, beautiful, sir. Beautiful. So uh, taking back to our, the spiritual questioning which I was composing in my mind, uh, help me understanding how can one inculcate the thought process of segregating oneself to their identity, uh, as per you specifically, like how did you manage doing that? Because you did mention that, right? It gives you that because awareness happens when you are not rooted in the memory, because
Mhm.
the moment you are accessing the memory, you are not aware because memory is already there for you. That's
Mm.
how I look at it. So,
Well, no, it's a very valid. Let's explore this. Okay.
sure,
So
sure.
um, memory is there in your pocket. You pull it out when you need to use it in your day-to-day experience of life to interact in our society. And we all play different roles, right? You play the role of a father, a brother, a son, a co-worker, uh, uh, whatever sport or hobby that you do. But you go on the stage, you do your thing, you come off the stage. Okay. when you were a little kid, you were this small. When you got this big, you're a teenager, then you're an adult, then you're a grandparent. It's still you, but you're in different stages of your life. Just like you have different stages throughout the day, you play different roles. You are you, something more fundamental, but these are just roles. The problem is people get too identified with those roles and they really think this is what I am. No, you're much more than that, you know? And you learn to do what's needed when it's needed, but whatever is is needed and is done, you step down. You don't forget the nature of what you are. It's much more fundamental than that. But it's a constant reminder. You know what I mean? It's but for some people, they become so centered in one role that anything that threatens that one role, they become unstable. You understand? But as you go through the process of life, these roles change. You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
your relationships change. People will come in and out of your life. Uh, we all get older. What we used to do when we were younger or was important is not the same when we get older, right? But
Yes,
some
of
of us
course. Yeah.
still hold on to what we were when we were younger and can't let go because we
Hmm.
become identified to that. With Hatha, you clearly see that I'm much more fundamental than that. And I've had the privilege, but this too shall pass. And as
Hmm.
much as you work hard to keep it, you also have to learn how to let go of it when the time is needed.
Beautiful. So this, so I mean, you being a teacher of Hatha, I'm sure, being one of your student as well, I feel that vibe whenever I had 2 sessions with you. It was amazing, and
It was.
maybe we'll sit more in the future. But I was able to feel that vibe, and I was able to, what do you say? The discussions which we had pre and post class, it kind of opened a lot of doors for me. Amazing. Okay. Okay, having said that, sir, so do you think there is an inner intelligence within us? So, and were you able to access that through the process?
Oh,
Uh,
I'm alive today. We're alive today because it's functioning within us. I'm not responsible for all the trillions of things that are happening in my system. And look at, we're part of a planet, which is part of a solar system, part of a galaxy, part of a cosmos. Everything is happening in unison. Everything is happening at the right time. We're still here. I'm able
mm.
to have this conversation with you. It's not because of me. So it's functioning, it's there. I eat the food. I don't give it instructions where to go and what to do and how to make sure I still look the same. There's an intelligence that actually turns a banana into me.
Yeah.
Then make sure I don't turn into a monkey or a cow, or a banana. So there is a fundamental intelligence that's it's operating there, and it's guiding me because um, it made me. And if I
Can you
ever,
access? Can we access it?
yes,
Sorry.
yes, you can access it. But the only way
Okay.
you can access it is to create this balance, clarity, and stillness within you. Because if you pay attention, there's nothing that will not reveal itself. But it's the depth of your attention. So you can't go in there with preconceived notions and distorted perceptions. You have to go in there with awareness. And the great thing about the programs that we've been initiated into is that we have these tools and processes where that can find expression. The fortunate thing is the mind is not involved. But the mind always wants to know, how did you come to know something without thinking about it? It just became aware of something that was always there. There's no mental process. And for us logical thinking people, this can be a little bit of a challenge because you start to become aware of many things instantly. And the mind doesn't like that. It wants to know how you got to that. It wants a logical explanation. But this is the beauty of life.
Wow. I am more of mind person. So, but
No,
then, I this is how I look at it. Like it's more uh, mind has um, I think mind is not mine. That's how I look at it, to be precisely. Because the question which I asked, the inner intelligence, I think that's where the mind is. I mean, but then I only access a part of it, call it my identity, and through that I look the world and try
Mm.
to create my reality.
Well, there's many parts to the mind. We're so centered in the intellect, right?
Oh yes, that's what I meant.
Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, to access the other things, it's never been brought up in our education system growing up. Um, and because we're so centered in that, that's what's developed. Um, this is the one thing about yoga meditation. You learn to settle that aspect and start to look at life from a different perspective. And it can be hard. It can be hard because if you spend your whole life being in that one place, it's really hard to step out of it initially, but it can be done because it's there whether you do it or not. It's just a matter of knowing the processes to quiet that aspect and explore other dimensions of the mind. And there's many parts.
So let's get to the because that's I love talking philosophy and spiritual stuff, but then I don't want to like for the sake of the audiences who
Mm,
are more into the materialistic things, how do
mm,
you think the practicing yoga, specifically the classical
mm.
Hatha Yoga, would enable their materialistic success? So that, I mean, meaning can the thought process in which comes through the process of yoga, will that enable them to achieve greater heights in their lives? Maybe, like, to be precise, earning more money.
Mm.
it's it's
Yes.
a it's a bad question maybe, but that I as a lot of people might not like this, but practically speaking, some people are looking for that as well, right? So what is your take on that?
So why yoga has become very popular, especially Isha classical Hatha yoga, amongst leaders and CEOs of big corporations, is because people work best when they're joyful. They function at their best when they're at maximum ease. If you have balance and clarity, and you have awareness, and you have the ability to pay attention and follow through, your ability to use your body and mind will greatly determine the success in whatever you do, whatever that may be. The success in this world is largely dependent on how well you use your mind and your body. If you don't spend enough time developing these things, this is the platform which you operate, then everything happens by accident. You can't duplicate it on a regular basis, and it's very stressful. Okay. By doing Hatha Yoga, classical Hatha Yoga, you develop a strong, stable body and a mind that works together. You're able to focus to get more done in less time. With your ability to process and have clarity, you can make decisions, see things in a holistic manner, and you can get ahead of possibilities of things going wrong and see opportunities that other people can't see. And because you're so joyful and happy to be around, people around you are much more at ease and are willing to work for you, right? You're not one more problem. And how you are really impacts how people are. You know, when someone walks in a room and they're down, their posture or they're angry, it shows, you know. And if you walk in and you're confident, you're stable, your presence just makes people much more at ease and they function. So wherever you go, when you interact with somebody, when you speak, it has more penetration. Your ability to listen and understand. And if you're not sure, you're not afraid to ask to get clarification. So when you do something, you do it and you get it done and you do it properly. And that makes a world of a difference in any career that you do. Um, that's what yoga can do. And that's what it is doing. A lot of people, for instance, I have a great example. I had one person who did one yoga practice called Bhuta Shuddhi. So he had that presence. And I remember when I first met him, when he walks into a room, there's something about him that rubs you the wrong way. And right away, there's friction. And he had so much friction with people at the office. And he was a lawyer, talk about the double whammy. And he didn't have a really good relationship with his wife and family. He started doing Buddha Shuddhi. 2 months later, he didn't change anything about how he interacted, but his presence changed. All of a sudden, he became buddy-buddy with the people he's been fighting and having conflict with at work. The
Wow.
relationship with his family started to gel, communicate. He's overwhelmed with joy. And that's what yoga
Mm.
can do. It's so much more fundamental on an energetic level, but it makes the world of a difference. You can't positive think your way into success. You have to go deeper. You have to go on an energy, mental and emotional, physical level. You have to bring those four wheels together and get that alignment. And that's what yoga can do. And I have many success stories, just even my own, where I was and what I was and where I am today and who I am today. If I if people knew, they're like, nah, impossible. I go, nothing of the old must remain. The memory is there, but it doesn't function. I recreated a whole new me, and I like the new me. I really do.
Wow.
I'm very happy with it.
I would want to discuss about your old you and
Mhm.
how and what has changed about the old you into the new you, and not now, but that's for the
Another
next
time, yeah.
episode. Yeah,
Sure, sure, sure.
because I want to
It's a
keep
wild
this.
story. As wild as my transformation was, and when I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh. But it's like an old black and white movie sitting in a closet. It doesn't.
That
And
has
I
been a
look,
reality once, right?
it was a
So,
real. I was so
yeah.
identified with it, but I'm not identified with it anymore. I don't share
Wow.
those stories really unless somebody asks, but I don't wait to go to a party to tell people, you'll never guess what I was like, and now look at me now.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's not about me, you know.
Because I'm sure the intensity when the how you brought it out, there is a lot in it, and I really want to, dig deeper into that so that it inspires others to,
Yeah,
approach life the way you have approached.
yeah,
Maybe it inspired me. Maybe
yeah,
it's basically about me probably. I'm
yeah,
just putting others in my shoe and talking to you. So,
yeah.
but that, yeah, beautiful. So, having said that, okay. I guess I've asked 1 hour of your time and we have 15 more minutes left. So as we go towards the end of the session, help us, you know, understand. So what are the classes being offered by you and what are the benefits if you take them, both physical as well as mental?
Yes. So we offer anything from beginner to advanced yoga workshops. I do private, small group, large groups, corporate, all ages. Um, Each one is catered to whatever your needs are and where you are. If you go to our website, you can look at the different programs. There's videos and explanations and see what resonates with you. Um, we have beginner classes that are like a few hours. There's some classes that are a few days. And we teach you how to do the practice at home in the privacy of your own home. It's not like a studio style where you come in 2 or 3 times a week and it's not social. There's no mirrors, there's no music. It's a very sacred space. You walk in and I empower you with the tools and technology to become meditative and to evolve and work at your own pace. And it can appeal to many different people. There's something for everybody, right? Um, Based on your energy level and where you are physically, mentally, and emotionally. And there's always something for somebody.
Wonderful, sir. So one last question, like because I'm trying to ask questions for myself and ask question for others. This question is for myself. So how do I because I see there is as you just mentioned in few minutes ago that the intelligence is everywhere in within us around us. So how do I connect with it? Like to and do I get signals about it that okay that intelligence is trying to communicate with me? This is more mystical question. If I
How
can-
to connect. So
Yeah.
by paying attention, by paying attention, it's there because you wouldn't exist, right? It's
Mm.
functioning, it's holding up all the planets and the stars and the moon and the animals in the water. It's functioning at all the time. And how do you get in touch with it? By, first of all, doing a little bit of Hatha Yoga or meditation, which we have programs for that, by creating that balance and clarity and just being focused on the breath and just paying attention, just looking without judgment. And if you pay attention, look at the sun, look at the trees, look at people, look at your food. When you wake up, look at something and just look at it and know that the source of creation that is holding you, that created you, is within that, no matter what it is. You just put your hands together, namaskar, like this. And it's not like you're praying. All that does is it creates an inward balance and non-judgmental. So like if you put your hands like this, you're not judgmental. You're not looking at something with an opinion. And just look at it and acknowledge that the source of creation that's in that thing, whether it's a rock, a fish, a person, is also within you and holding up all of creation. It does not discriminate. As much attention as it gives to a planet in a solar system, it puts in a little ant. The same love and compassion is in that. And if you just pay attention and watch it, you could spend your whole lifetime just amazing. How does this all happen? It's not by accident. So it's there if you pay attention. And it's a overwhelming realization that wow. And that's when, and now yoga. Now you want to get in touch with that much more deeper. Then we do the Hatha Yoga. Then we start going into more meditative practices where you can reach higher dimensions of life and explore that. But in order to explore these things, you need some kind of balance, right? You need to create you got to be able to sit still without an itch or a scratch or pain or thinking about a concert, whether it be Taylor Swift, all the fans out there. Be able to turn the phone off and not have anxiety for 2 hours. For
Yes,
some people, that's impossible.
that's a biggest challenge these days.
Or watching Bitcoin go up and down because you have crypto, this, taking away your time.
Yeah,
Things will do what they do, but just being able just to be and pay attention. Paying attention is very important. In order to pay attention, you need balance. Because if you're off balance, your whole energy is just trying to stay balanced. And that's the key thing.
wonderful, sir. So okay, I thought that was the last question, but really I've got one more question for you.
No,
Okay,
anything for
so
you.
for as a icing on the cake, help us out by giving 5 tips for successful life using the spiritual practices from ancient India or basically Eastern world or probably the ancient civilizations on the planet. So, what are the 5 tips based on your experiences as a guru? What would you suggest?
Okay. So 5 tips that I've incorporated in my life from my
Yes,
yogic principles to living life.
yes,
Ah, before you go to bed, let go of everything that happened in the day consciously, let go of what happened in the day. Um, be grateful. Look back in the day, what worked, what didn't work, and say whatever happened today, tomorrow is a new day, good or bad. It's a fresh possibility. Number one. Number two, when you wake up in the morning, smile. You opened your eyes, you have another chance to be a little better and to move forward. Many people did not wake up the next day. Okay, you have a chance to, if you understood the profoundness of just being alive, mm, it's, and when you wake up, be grateful that I woke up and be grateful and think of something to be grateful, choose something or someone, even your enemies, your hardcore enemies, be grateful, thank you, because you're testing my sadhana, you're testing to see if the yoga is working. Can I function, operate, and be compassionate even towards my enemy? Um, when you sit down to eat, wait 2 minutes before you eat. You don't have to say grace or do anything. Just, look down on the food and just know what went into creating that food. The farmers, the soil, the bugs that gave up their life to feed the plants, and it's got shipped. And just if you think of all the steps it took, including the sun, the soil, the water, the farm, just to create that, to nourish you. A life is giving up itself to nourish you so that you can experience something more. Do that. Um, And when you go to work, don't bring your problems. Bring a joyful nature, and don't, you know, create limitations. Just go with the flow, and you'll be surprised. You'll get more done in less time, and and just pay attention. You'll see opportunities, you know. Um, and the other one is do yoga, do hatha yoga. Find something. Find any small practice, whether it's 5 minutes. It doesn't even have to be. You see, yoga is not just physical asanas and postures. That's not yoga. Just maybe some breathing techniques, because your breath
Mm,
is your best friend, right? It was there when you're born. It'll be the last thing when you leave. It will, you know, you can break up with the girlfriend, the wife, the dog, the boss, the job, but your breath will always be there, even with all your nonsense. But we never pay attention to it. But if you pay attention to your breath and just slow it down, it can have a profound impact, not only on your health and well-being, but on your perception. Because the
mm,
slower you breathe, the greater your perception, because you're at ease and you'll be
yeah,
more calm, you know.
yeah.
And when you're calm, you respond to life. You don't just go into fight or flight. So these are just a few tips. There's many more, but then we have to go into more detail about them. But these are simple things that people can make a part of their everyday life that could literally change the course of their life. They could put the destiny in their hands and not just you know, the horoscope.
Yeah. Beautiful. I've got a lot to talk to you, and I see that I've got a lot of questions, and I'm sure I'll learn a lot from you as we discuss further. Okay, so we are at the end of the session now, and I really appreciate your presence in my podcast show. I'm really thankful that you're here. I've learned a lot today, and I
Thank
hope
you.
people who are gonna listen and watch this video will enjoy it as I enjoyed. And I'm sure. And please, I'll coordinate with you for another podcast,
Anytime.
probably in
I'm
some
always
time from now.
available for you anytime.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time. Namaskaram.
Namaskar.